right?
When did you get to New York?
I've been here about 4 days now, visiting friends. I think Heather got here Wednesday.
Yeah.
This is a new guy we just brought.
Oh yeah.
It's a donkey.
A donkey?
Oh, a donkey.
Yes, a donkey. It's got an ear. And some kind of an eye socket.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we are reproducing one of the pieces that was in the retrospective, which is from '73.
Uh-huh.
It's actually the first silk screen print I ever did.
Uh-huh.
And it's a Charles Atlas piece based on the ads. 50s Charles
Right.
Atlas. And they have this kind of like thing going on there with real fur, like there. I don't know what you call that. It's not a.
Like a loincloth?
Yes,
thing?
exactly. That's the word.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this again. We just printed a new edition of it. So I got a bunch of furs, you know, from
Oh, yeah.
Mexico. This donkey guy was, I think it just so cool. It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's just raw. You know what I mean? It's not pretty. It's wild and beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's what this guy is doing here.
Where'd you get it from?
In Mexico City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mexico. It's wild that you could bring it over the border so raw. Hmm?
How long are you staying in New York?
Just till Sunday.
Monday?
Yeah, Monday actually. Yeah.
What
Just
else-
a week.
What else are you doing in the does it straight from the site?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's better.
So I'm interviewing him.
So do we put a chair here? Do we put a stool?
Whatever you're comfortable on.
I guess a chair.
Yeah.
How long is this gonna take?
Heather was at Manitoba's last night.
Oh, yeah.
And the night
Well-
and the night before. And tomorrow night.
You like it there, huh?
I love it there. Your photo's up there.
Yeah. Which one? The one with Marty and Sid Vicious?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
Or is it CDG?
It's. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't remember who you're in with.
So I don't know, maybe to answer your question, maybe about 45 minutes or so.
All right, okay. That's
Yeah.
fine, yeah.
And what we were thinking of doing with this is maybe, we just talked about it, like maybe putting some website up with, I have photos from last time.
Okay.
And I transcribed the interview, so I have text and some of this video, like just mixing it up. And maybe what we can do is show it to you before it goes live. See what you think.
Okay. And now, am I being put together mixed with other people, or?
No, no. It'll be you. I've done stuff like this before, and I always start just doing it and then see how it evolves. So I did one that ended up being an article. Like it ended up just being an article. But this time, since we have Heather and stuff, I'm kind of curious with the idea of multimedia
Yeah.
and something
Cool.
different. So,
Is that good?
Yeah.
very good. Yeah. So, one of the things, what we wanted to check some of the things you're interested in talking about. So, I mean, I'm going to start with some of the sort of just biography, like I asked last time, about when you came here, how you got here, how you met the Ramones, that sort of thing. And then we were like, are you interested in talking about queer punk at all, or queers in the punk scene? Does that interest you?
I don't know much about
You
it.
don't know much about that? Okay.
I don't know anybody.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And then we'll talk, maybe, we'll see how it goes, but we can talk about specific people you knew
Okay.
and how things were and,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, so why don't we just start with, and your art, what you've been doing. And I guess the final question I have, are you comfortable if we ask things about art you did before and how you feel about it now?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so the first thing, if we could just start. That's okay. That's cool. Friendly.
She's gonna be a pain. You have to go. How do you open the door?
Animals are so smart.
You wanna stay out? All right. Spoiled baby. Halloween is her birthday.
Oh, it's a.
How old is she?
3.
Oh,
It's not a baby anymore, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where were we?
Okay, so we'll just start. So, I mean, of course, part of what we know about you is that you were an artist in the punk scene. You knew the Ramones. You became really good friends. And I'm wondering if you could just start by telling us about coming to New York and finding this place and how you ended up involved in that.
Well, I came to New York for several reasons.
Uh-huh.
I started traveling out of Mexico since 1965, mainly because I wanted to see live bands. Rock and roll was always something that interested me, you know, from the day I discovered it. I was 8 years old, and by accident, playing with a shortwave radio at home in Chihuahua, 1955, I just find this sound that doesn't sound like your typical music, you know, typical Mexican or Chihuahua music more specifically. My family was very musical. There was always music in the house. There were always parties and celebrations, and my mother would sing with her sisters, and then everybody would sing. There was always music around. I like music, I enjoy music. And then I find this weird, crazy sounding, exciting music. And it took me a while. Every day I would try to get that station. It turned out to be a station from Texas, because Chihuahua is across the border from Texas. So I would, listen to that, and every now and then it would be like a song again. And so I remember very well the first time years later, when I found out what it was Elvis Presley's Blue Suede Shoes. And ever since was rock and roll something that, you know, at the beginning you don't think about it very much. You don't know how important it might be or it will be in your life. You just want to have fun. And rock and roll was always a way for me to have a good time. You know, I loved the music. But I could listen to it in the radio in Mexico City in the 60s, but you could not see anybody live. And so that, you know, I had to go where the music was. And that was San Francisco in the 60s. So by the time I was 18, I started traveling. There was always the music. You know, I was in San Francisco in '67, the Summer of Love, and discover the difference between what it was to listen to records and recorded music or radio and live music. The first band that I saw live was the Byrds in a place, the Fillmore, the original Fillmore, when it was in Market and Van Ness. And then I just discovered the physicality, the work involved in producing the music, you know, and how exciting it was to watch the guys doing it. So, you know, music became just something that I enjoyed a lot. And then, of course, in the 60s, you know, music, rock and roll was very important. It was the tool that, the weapon that young people had to change the world, if that's what you were trying to do or were interested in, contribute to, you know, changing the world. So rock and roll was very, very important. You know, I tried to understand the lyrics. I'm sure that was the main reason why I started, you know, learning English, so I could understand the lyrics, you know. And so I did several things in Mexico that were related to music. We did a production of Tommy, the Who's rock opera, in '69 at the college company, theater company from the National University. I wasn't a student there, but a friend of mine was. And we toured colleges. We took colleges in Mexico, and it was really cool. Kids would be waiting for us with peyote and all kinds of drugs, you know. But by 1969, I kind of knew, I had a lot of friends in the arts, writers, the kind of people that I hang out with in what is called La Zona Rosa, the pink zone of Mexico. You know, back in the 60s, it was, you know, people that turned out to be like the most influential artists, writers, and, you know, of the era. And so I knew that there was something about the arts that attracted me. I think a big part of it was that the people that were doing it were cool. You know, it was one of those eras where you would see almost the same people every single night in different cafes. You know, I guess it was like the Paris of the 30s. You know what I mean? Or even the 20s, and so I just had to do, you know. But then I thought a lot of my friends were actors, a lot of my friends were musicians. I knew I was interested in being a musician, but I did go to acting school because like some of my best friends were actors or were becoming, you know, actors. And so I started doing that. So I ended up in a musical. I ended up in a professional musical with some of the biggest stars at the time. It was a Broadway production that they took to Mexico, like they do still. It was called Your Own Thing here on Broadway. And the star was a Puerto Rican girl. So she spoke Spanish, so they take her to Mexico to play the role there. And I was playing the role of a rock and roll musician, a guy in a band. So, you know, it was perfect because, you know, this is 1969. And I knew that I wanted to get out of Mexico. And so I need to, but then I decided to try New York. Well, this girl, she was from New York, and I just had the perfect look for that kind of thing, you know, because I've been traveling to San Francisco already for years. And then some guys that were friends of hers that came to Mexico City. One of them was a Broadway designer, a costume designer, and the other one was Paul McCartney's representative at the time. And so they said, Arturo, come to New York.
Yeah, really.
We'll put you in hair. Hair was still on Broadway.
I'll put you in hair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
I was like, really? But I don't speak English that well. This doesn't matter. You look great. You sing, you dance. That's all it takes. In hair, you know, if you sound weird or like a foreigner, it'd be cool. It'd be all right. It's even better. So I thought, okay, maybe. I think that what I wanted to do at the time was really become a film director.